Hello everyone, my name is Anna from BookSawyer, and today I am going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Again But Better by Christine Riccio. So if you don't know who Christine is one of the original booktubers on this platform. So she is someone that a lot of people are familiar with, and she came out with her debut novel in early May of this year, and I read it pretty soon after it came out, but I wanted to give myself some time to really think about it before I put a full review onto my channel. But I finally am getting around to making it, and I really hope that you enjoy my thoughts on it. So before we get into me actually talking about the book, I want to just give a couple of disclaimers. This isn't a video of me spilling the tea or trashing Christine's novel. That my channel is not about that. I may discuss negative opinions about any book that I review, but this isn't a place in which I'm here to bash a well-known celebrity. In fact, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars, so if you're coming here looking for me to tell you all about why this novel sucks, you're not gonna get it, because I really thoroughly enjoyed this novel, and I think that's a pretty unpopular opinion because almost all the reviews I've seen for this novel have been 2 to 3 stars, and so I really want to use my platform to put out some more positive opinions on this novel. And also, I know that because I'm giving a positive opinion on this review, there are probably going to be comments saying that I'm biased, but as I was talking about in the recent reads video where I discussed this novel briefly, I am not a Christine superfan. I enjoy her content, but I only really started watching her videos around the time this novel came out and around the time that I read this novel. So I have not been watching her channel for 10 million years. I really enjoy her content, and I like her content to an extent now, but when I read this novel, I had really no bias in hand. In fact, I think the existence of this novel made me want to explore her channel more, and so I do like her videos, but I'm not a Christine superfan, and I'm not trying to be biased. I'm trying to give you my complete and honest opinions on this. So this review is going to be completely spoiler free, and because not the majority, but some of you that are watching may have not read this novel, I do want to give you two kind of notes about the novels. They're not trigger warnings, but they're kind of that-esque. A lot of people, or at least some of the reviews that I've seen, have been uncomfortable in this novel with some circumstances of cheating. Now, I don't want to go into it because also I can't really speak to that. I've never had this experience of being cheated on, so I can't say if this novel really feels like that, and it's a very, I think, complicated situation. I guess I don't really want to go into it, but if that's something that really offends you or something you don't want to read about, then maybe this novel isn't something you want to pick up. And also, if you have read it, then you might have a full-formed opinion on that. And also, there are some instances, and again, I don't want to really go into it very much because it's not really my place to discuss it, but also some people have been triggered by what some apparent emotional child abuse in this novel. I can't speak to whether or not the way that this novel represents that is a representation of that, or if it's an interpretation of that. I don't want to go into that, but there are some reviews that I have seen and some comments on those reviews of people that have said that they view that way, and if you are offended or triggered by that in any way, then I would say probably to steer away from this novel. So if you're one of the people that have not read this novel and you don't know what it's about, if you've never heard of it, or at least not heard of the synopsis, Again But Better follows a story of Shane, who is a college student who apparently describes her experience of having been done it all wrong. So she doesn't love her major whatsoever. Her parents want her to be a doctor, but she really wants to be a writer, and so she tries to do a study abroad program in London, England. I'm terrible at pronouncing country names, but I'm sorry. And she wants to study creative writing and get working on her great American novel. And this is a contemporary romance novel that follows her in Europe, kind of finding herself in a way, and also trying to prove herself as a writer and that she can do what she wants to do as opposed to what her parents do. That's kind of the nutshell. So the first kind of review point that I want to talk about with this novel is a lot of the claims that have come out about Shane being a self-insert of Christine. So a lot of people who watch Christine's videos on a regular, which I really like her channel. I watch a lot more now, so I think I can speak to it a little bit. But a lot of people that have been watching her for years do say that they really think that Shane is a self-insert of Christine and that she is Christine in a way. And I do think there are some similarities in between them. I'm not exactly sure if it is 100% a self-insert, but I do see some similarities between the two. But Obviously I gave the novel 5 out of 5 stars, and that's not something that bothers me. Like, this novel, Christine has talked about it in the author's note of this novel, that this story is very personal to her, and I can imagine that if you are writing a novel from your own experiences, of course the main character will be similar to that to you, but if that is something that you are really annoyed by and don't want to read it, you might not want to check it out. It didn't bother me, and I can see how it may bother some people, but I think that in kind of the way that Christine was writing the novel about her own experience, I think it was appropriate in this situation. It's not like she was writing like a fantasy novel where like the heroine was like a carbon copy of her. Like, this was really from her own experience. So the next thing I want to talk about is how this novel really isn't your basic kind of contemporary romance story. Obviously, because spoilers, I'm not going to like talk about exactly what happens in this novel, but there is an aspect to it that makes it really different. I think if you are someone that reads mostly sci-fi or fantasy and you want to get into more contemporary, or you are interested in reading this novel but you're not sure about it because it is a contemporary romance and you don't really read a lot of that, I think this would be a good novel to start with. It is a pretty thick novel, and it has like a lot of pages and pretty much a lot of words on the pages, so it is like a longer read, but I think because of that aspect, and I think because I do think it is a very interesting novel, I think it would be a good place to start. And also, if you are someone like me that reads a lot of contemporary romance, this isn't like a carbon copy of, I think, a lot of the stuff you've seen before. Granted, I haven't read very much, really, if any at all, like travel novels, so I can't speak to whether or not that on that part, but just from a basic kind of contemporary romance standpoint, I really think that this novel is pretty. So the fourth point that I want to talk about with this novel, which I know some people are going to disagree with me on, because writing style is really subjective for everyone. What a writing style that I like, others hate, and vice versa. I thought for a debut novel that Christine's writing was impressive, and not just really for a debut novel, also in general, but especially considering that this is her first work, I really think that it was very impressive. And I do think that pretty much every author's writing does get better as they continue to write, because it makes sense. As you continue to work on something, of course, you're going to get better. Again, but better. And I do think that Christine has a really large talent for writing, and I do think the more that she writes, it's just going to get even better. And I know that not everyone loves the writing style of this book, but I really do think, in my personal opinion, that it's a pretty great prose and a really great writing style, so I do think you might enjoy that. So the last big point that I kind of want to talk about with this novel is about the pop culture references, and this is a point that I see in almost every review for this novel, and it's something that a lot of people are really annoyed by. So a lot of people claim that there are a lot of pop culture references in this novel, and I will say there are. That personally didn't annoy me, and I'm going to talk about why in a moment, because I kind of interpret it a little differently. That's kind of what I want to share with you. But again, if that's something that annoys you, if that's something that just sounds like something you don't want to read, again, this novel won't be for everyone. It is not for everyone. But it is a lot of kind of repetitiveness. Like, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, we get it, we're in 2011, like with all the like pop culture references in there. But I think that that was a good thing. Yes, I could say for the enjoyment of other people, and also I guess myself to some degree, there could have been a little bit less of that in there. So without spoiling for the novel for you, again but better, sometime in like part of the story, you kind of switch to a different year, and so there is obviously pop culture changes as years go on, and I do think that some aspects in which, and I don't want to say exact things just because this is a spoiler-free review, but there are some parts that really help distinguish, I think, the 2 years from each other. And also, I thought it kind of worked as humor in a way. I really thought it added a funny element to the novel, and I really thought that to an extent, it really worked to kind of lighten up the mood, and even if it was just a little chuckle, and maybe you don't really care about that, but I really thought it really added something. So overall, what did I think? Obviously, I gave the novel 5 out of 5 stars, and I did really enjoy it. For a debut novel, I think this work is extremely impressive, and I do really think that you may get something out of it. I know this novel isn't for everyone, and if you're watching this as someone that didn't like the novel, I completely understand why. I think every review out there that is negative is valid, and I think there's so much about this novel with aspects like the pop culture references, like the self-insert, etc., that are so subjective to the individual person, and different people enjoy different things. And also because it's kind of like when a celebrity like puts out a novel. With booktubers, you always have there's always this like big stigma because people love them and it's like they're really popular, and there are people that want to like hear the tea on it, there are people that are going to be biased, and there's all of these kind of extenuating factors. I'm really bad at wording things, but I do think that this novel really holds up. I don't think that Christine needs anyone to take like the bias card with her, because I do think that this novel is genuinely a really good one, and I do hope that if you haven't picked it up, that you at least consider it if it is something that sounds up your alley, and because I do think that it is a really worthwhile novel, and I do think that it deserves a lot more praise than what it's getting. So thank you so much for watching. If you've read Again But Better, I'd love to hear what you thought about it, and if you are considering reading it, I'd love to know that too. If you don't know who I am or my channel, my name is Anna from BookSawyer. I create videos every other day, and the video topic switches off from every time from being about books to about theater. So 2 days from when this is going up, I'll have a theater video going up. 4 days from when this is going up, I'll have another book video. So if you're not interested in theater, then I do quite often upload about books a lot. So I really hope that you enjoyed this review about this novel, and I hope that you have a great day. Goodbye.